let me have this. You know, as we get closer to the end of Melon Keeper Gold, I am retreading old ground back in 2020, 2021. That doesn't sound right. 2022? Nah. When Melon Keeper Plus was a thing, I played this little game called Popgoes. Popgoes is a really cool Five Nights at Freddy's fan game, um, with a bunch of cool mechanics. You can look at the vents, you can heat up the vents, you can end the call and get straight into the gameplay. There's a vent here. You got to look at this window so you don't panic too much, because if you panic too much, you start to hallucinate. We got an animatronic over here. Um, I think that is the titular weasel. Popgoes, and we got to shut off these different 3D printers because he's actually 3D printing an animatronic that's going to kill us. It's a cool FNAF fan game that's doing like new stuff. You know, it plays quite similarly to Five Nights at Freddy, but it's also distinctly different. And I like that, you know. I think that that is very cool. And when I played this on Melon Keeper Plus, it was one of my favorite. It was one of my favorite Five Nights at Freddy games that I had played on that channel. So all we're doing right now is we're trying to stop the weasel from building up this animatronic. And to be honest, if he gets a few parts, it's not the end of the world. We just got to stop him from fully completing the 3D printing of the animatronic. There is a couple animatronics that climb in the vents, but as far as I remember, they're not on night one. But it is actually pretty scary if they get you. They steal your phone, which is pretty terrifying, admittedly. But yeah, I mean, first night of a Five Nights at Freddy game, right? It's pretty relaxed. I'm not super worried about it. All of those old Melon Keeper Plus videos, they're still up on this chat. These are the guys. Those are the animatronics that climb in the vent. So I guess as long as I can see they're still on stage, I don't really need to worry about it. But yeah, all of those Melon Keeper Plus videos, they're still on this channel. I just have them unlisted because I like how clean it looks with all of Melon Keeper Gold being up there at once. I think it's cool. I swear I just heard something. I don't know if that was Popgoes or what it was. But yeah, I like the kind of cleanliness of having. This is Melon Keeper Gold. It's a year-long project, and the number of videos that you can see on this channel is the number of videos I have made during this year. I think that's a really like clean, nice system. And so I've kind of maintained it in that way, but um, I should probably make like a playlist or something that has those old videos in them. I think you can see some of them. Some of them are in a playlist and some of them are not. I don't remember off the top of my head, to be honest. Is it seriously only 2 a.m.? This is gonna be a long game. There's mini games in between as well. So like so like it can definitely take a while playing this game. I don't know if the other animatronics are gonna start moving, but so far it looks like they haven't. So, but yeah, there's like mini games in between the nights as well. So that can make it take extra long, but we're in it for the long run. That's not true. I'm not finishing this game today. It would be like an hour and a half or something. Like I said, decently long game. Some of those old videos I made on Melon Keeper Plus, some of those were quite like fun series to record. I remember recording Five Nights at Fuckboy and like I understand why, Markiplier, when he played it, there were a lot of like cuts in the videos or like montages, speed ups. And dude, because I understand because, um, when I did it, like it took me a very long time. It took me a very long time to get all the resources that I was looking for. And and I just remember like how do I fill all this air? How do I talk for that long? And like not that much is going on in my life. Like I'm a uni student. I haven't really like gotten up to much. I mean, I was still in first year when I started that channel, which is so. I think I was nearing the end of it, mind you. I think it was the start of 2022, so that would have been when I was in second semester of first year. But still, like to me, right? Okay, obviously that wasn't that long ago. To me, that feels like a long time ago. And and you know what? I'm very happy. Can I preempt? If I shut down this room, what does he do? Because obviously he's going in this room next. I feel like. Can I preempt him and lock him in there? I never figured that out, I don't think, the first time I played this game. But yeah, like he's just in the corridor now. I mean, that's probably good, right? Because if he succeeds a movement opportunity while he's in the room and before I get to him, then like I am I'm out of luck, right? But if I just keep hitting him like this, then he can't go in the rooms. It does appear to be working. Until I mess it up, I guess. But it does appear to be working. Yeah, so he's moved over here. I shut down that room. He's just stuck in the corridor. He can't do anything. I feel kind of bad for him, but at the same time, he is doing something which will kill me. Like it will. So, but yeah, Popgoes. One of the reasons I liked this game was like kind of how active it is, I guess. You gotta actually use the cameras, which is a big like criticism I have with a lot of Five Nights at Freddy fan games, but also just FNAF in general. Like all of the games are guilty of this to some extent, except FNAF 4 for obvious reasons. Is like you don't use the cameras that much in most of the games. You just like hover over one camera. You actually need to use the cameras a fair amount in this game. To be fair, not as much as in like Candy. In Candy there were like animatronics that you needed to keep on top of. Like you needed to know where they were to properly deal with them. And it was interesting because I'm pretty sure that game had like um it had like a you're going in this room. It had a mechanic. Maybe I should play Candy next. It had a mechanic where um you had to look at one of the animatronics, kind of like Foxy, where you have to like put your view on that um on that animatronic or they'd get you. But you also had to like monitor because if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I played Candy. If I remember correctly, what it was you had to you had to um look at the cameras to see where the other animatronics were because um you couldn't like shine a light at your door. Like you had doors but you didn't have the light, I think is how it worked. So you had to stop them before they got to the room. Um so like that's kind of cool. You have to use your camera in an interesting way. I liked that. Um I think, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that like Five Nights at Freddy fan games got right, and I think it's so cool that we just had like years and years of people iterating on this genre, which was kind of invented by Five Nights at Freddy's. Um, we had like years and years of people kind of incrementally improving at this genre, and like people are still doing new things with it. There are still new Five Nights at Freddy games. Obviously, like Security Breach and stuff doesn't really count, but like Help Wanted kind of does, because Help Wanted still has that kind of like sit and survive gameplay that Five Nights at Freddy is known for. I think it's cool that people have just been like iterating on this thing for so long, and there are tons of like the joy of creation was so scary that I beat the first level, and that's it. That's as far as I got. I found the joy of creation a very very scary Five Nights at Freddy game, and then we had stuff like Tycoon Sons. Tycoon Sons was fantastic, and also like my favorite, probably my favorite Five Nights at Freddy fan game that I played on the channel, but it wasn't the best game that I played necessarily. Like, it had a lot of problems, but I just really fucked with the vision. I thought it did a lot of creative stuff, and that's why I would maybe describe it as my favorite. But like, it was a very slow game, and there were parts where it was like very unclear what I needed to do. So that stops it from being as good as like a Popgoes, because a Popgoes is the traditional FNAF. You know, you can't not know what to do. You always know what to do. You just need to do it. It's all about execution, right? Um, but Tycoon Sons had this like exploration mechanic, and only like very small parts of the overall gameplay was the sit and survive stuff. But man, it was so cool. It was so interesting, and the like final nights of Tycoon Sons were like very intense gameplay wise. I really enjoyed them. Um, yeah, I don't know what to do here. I feel like I've gone everywhere I can go. And the minigame still hasn't ended. This is cool for people who like lore. What Popgoes was trying to do, I believe, with its lore was like try and make something like FNAF. Like, Popgoes is like, I think it's set in the same universe as FNAF. Like, I think it was building on what Five Nights at Freddy's was. But I think what it actually tried to do is like have its own lore and stuff that ties into the missing children's incident. I don't think most Five Nights at Freddy's fan games um took that duty as seriously. I think there's a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's fan games that are just Five Nights at Freddy fan games, and like there's an idea for the lore behind them, but it's not really concrete. Like Baby's Nightmare Circus, if you ask me, that game didn't feel like it had an established lore. It was just like, yeah, it's a Five Nights at Freddy's fan game, and Baby's the main character. Like, sure, why not? Um, okay, so Popgoes is moving, and my panic is increasing. I've ended the call because, again, I'm pretty sure I understand how this game works at this point, but I am kind of nervous that these two are going to start moving on this night, and if they do, then I've got to be a lot more vigilant, I suppose. But I don't know if I want to keep checking. Okay, they are moving. They are moving. So that's fine. Wait, where's Popgoes? Where's Popgoes? Where'd he go? Okay. Where did Pop go? Ah, oh, crap. I need to... Okay, so that's the other thing, is like you start getting these hallucinations and your panic goes up very fast, but it also blocks your view. Okay, so they're getting into the vents. That's fine. Oh, this is where it starts to get like intense. I think he's in there. I think he's going there. Yeah, I need to stop panicking. I think one of the hallucinations I might be getting is invisible Popgoes. Because I don't see him. Are we serious right now? Where is he? Oh, I think he completed one of the heads. Or like one of the pieces. Now, ostensibly, that is bad. But like, how bad? Pretty bad. Pretty bad. Yeah, we gotta heat that up. Cook them. Oh, what? Already? That wasn't very scary. Seriously? Dude, Popgoes was moving fast. That guy was moving fast. Really? Oh, I clicked new game. No, 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 no. Go back. Oh, I closed the game. Let me open it again. Also, Popgoes is based on like the first three games of Five Nights at Freddy's. What a good choice. What a good choice. The first three games, like, that had some awesome lore to it. And I'm not saying that FNAF 4 ruined the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is it was better before that game came out. It was actually substantially more interesting before that game came out. Okay. And why is FNAF 4 the one that ruined the lore of Five Nights at Freddy? It's nothing more complicated than I liked when it was more grounded. Like, or no, grounded isn't the word. I liked when it was less specific. I liked when we knew less. You know, when Purple Guy was just a murderer and and um and that's kind of all there was to it. Purple Guy was a murderer, and the things, the dead children, they possessed the animatronics, but there was no like mechanics behind it. It was just like, yeah, the puppet gave them life, like that. You know, when it was more vague, when it was more vague, and we didn't really know about William Afton or anything like that. Like, that's my FNAF, and that's the FNAF that like I hold on to quite dearly. And you know, it's fine. It doesn't matter like that FNAF is different now. I think it's a good thing that the lore has expanded, because the thing is that FNAF still exists. The FNAF that ended with Five Nights at Freddy's 3, that still exists. I can still pretend that nothing happened after FNAF 3, and they had their happy ending, and like William Afton didn't become Glitch Trap, or William Afton didn't become Plush Trap, or whatever. Like, all of these things just didn't happen, and I'm fine with that reality. And I also like that. I like that we also have this kind of, actual continuity. This like more. I don't want to say more developed world, because ironically I think it might be worse. Um, but but we have this like fuller story, I guess, where William Afton, he's a guy and he did a bunch of things, and you know there was a lot more intention behind that. I think that like the fact that that exists is a good thing, and I enjoy those stories, and I want to hear what the next FNAF lore is. Listen, they have ended Five Nights at Freddy's multiple times, and you know what? One of the best endings was the sister, not sister location. Sister location was distinctly not an ending. Um, the ending to Pizzeria Simulator, right? And that like being kind of extended by, um, UCN, but when we ended on Pizzeria Simulator, I thought that was a good ending, because it ended with this like badass monologue, and everybody was like out. There was no more. There was no more stuff to come after that. Like, everything was gone, and I hate how there always has to be a next Five Nights at Freddy's game, because part of the problem with that is you take these um endings, which are hard to get to. It's hard to get to the ending of Pizzeria Simulator from Five Nights at Freddy's 3 because you've already ended the story. But to continue the story, you have to throw yourself through these loops and these like tribulations. As a writer, it's not easy to get to Pizzeria Simulator because you fucked it up when you continued the story with FNAF 4. Like, that is my honest opinion on the matter. I'm not saying Five Nights at Freddy's 4 had a bad story. I'm saying that it was a mistake to end the story in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 and then say, let's keep going. Right? I think that was an error and something that like a more capable writer, because these games were written by Scott Cawthon, who's not an author, he's a game developer, and he's not even a particularly like okay, he's a good game developer. He made Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a winning format. He's not a particularly notable game developer up until that point. You know, I wouldn't trust him to write something you know, extremely good, but Pizzeria Simulator got there. Like, it got to a good ending from a really bad position. The really bad position being, you already ended the story and then kept going. Like, that's a disaster. And how do you fix that? You know, there's a lot of times where people describe authors as writing themselves into a corner. I think that Five Nights at Freddy's keeps doing it. And like sometimes they manage to write themselves out, and other times Gregory's a robot and all of this stuff. And it's like, this is just like, it's getting beyond the point where we started off with this story that was no more complicated than an extremely sort of violent man killed 5 people, 5 children. They possessed the animatronics that they were stuffed into, right? Okay, possession, ghosts, that kind of thing is paranormal, but it was a really grounded story at some point that was just like, there's this tragedy, and what's our main theme in Five Nights at Freddy's? Well, after Five Nights at Freddy's 3, it included, you know, the kind of like acceptance, but until that point it was about grief, and it was partially about revenge. And my problem comes when you turn in FNAF 4, Sister Location, all of these other things that make it every single time more and more goofy, right? We have Help Wanted, where they used the microchip from the original Springtrap to code the AI for the game. And that means that William Afton can possess the game and become a character in the game through possession. It's ridiculous. We have these humanoid... What the hell? That was Toy Chica? Excuse me? I didn't know Toy Chica was in this game. Excuse me? Anyway, we have these humanoid robots, Gregory, who are indistinguishable from actual humans. And like, it gets more and more ridiculous every time, because the only way to keep writing twists that people cannot come up with the answer to is to write ridiculous things. Which is why I applaud Matt Pat of Game Theory fame for never backing down from calling their bluff on a twist, right? Because if I was in charge of Game Theory and my best answer for what's happening in Security Breach was Gregory's actually a robot, right? He's a robot. I would not post that video. I'd be like, no, this is too ridiculous, even for Five Nights at Freddy's standards. But it turns out that it's true, I think. It's true that he is actually intended to be a robot within the canon of the series. He's a robot. And okay, like, I wouldn't publish that video. I would think that was too ridiculous. But MatPat really calls their bluff and says, you know, I think Gregory's a robot. I respect the hell out of it. I think it's amazing. I think it's absolutely the most impressive thing um about the game theory channel. As like a not very big fan of game theory, like I like style theory, I like food theory, I like the ones where like a lot of the theories are more practical. Game theory by its very nature is kind of a less practical. There are some practical like experiments on game theory and stuff because it's like, well, at the end of the day, like if we apply real life logic to, sorry, I just heard a noise. Um, if we apply real life logic to video games, then we get these experiments and stuff that he's done on the channel before. Like that, originally, a lot of game theory was that. Now, a lot of game theory is like, let's speculate about the lore and stuff. But originally, a lot of game theory was, can Mario shoot a fireball underwater? Or something like that. I think that's cool. But, there's not as much of that. So it's not necessarily for me.